What's up everybody? Omid, Succeed with Omid here. This actually is a specific video for a certain client that I have, so this is a resource for him. But it is something that's applicable to a lot of different people. I'm going to talk about the actual hip and how it's supposed to flex. If you've ever been to the gym and ever seen a foam rolling video of any kind, a lot of people tend to talk about the tight hip flexor. You know there's a lot of those. The main one they tend to talk about is that psoas major, the one that starts at the spine, comes down to the leg. Actually, in this case, that's really weak. It's very long and taut and overstretched, and I want to make that tighter. But what happens is if that one doesn't work very well, a lot of people get into this outside TFL area here, and instead of getting this perfect fold at the hip where the hip doesn't really move, and I just get the knee up, because that psoas major is firing, a lot of people start to get this guy over-firing, and it kicks their hip up and out into their lower back as they get into this position. To test if you have this, try and get your knee past 90 degrees. That's where the psoas major really kicks in and gets me up into this position. Most people tend to get stuck here and their hip moves up and out. If I do that from the back angle, this is what happens. So I got a three-tiered approach to this. I'm going to show each one of these steps and exactly how to do it to really relieve a lot of this type of gunk over here, if you will. All right? First step is just some basic releasing of tissue, foam rolling, SMR, pressure release, whatever you want to call it. But I've got two balls for this. One I call the shotgun approach, get the whole area smashed out real quick, and then the sniper approach to get into those little fine-tuned spots. In this case, I'm going to be doing my right hip. Oh, big ball on the corner of the hip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and lift this leg up, trying to get the hip into extension. It's important that when I do this, I don't let my back arch or my belly sag. I really want to brace through here, support a neutral spine the whole time. And what I'm doing is I'm just searching around. I've seen some people try and do this with a foam roller. This is actually one of those times I don't like a foam roller because it only moves in one direction. I want the freedom to search the whole hip. I just found something really good. So what I'm going to do is that muscle that's not liking this right now, I'm going to try and squeeze it as hard as I can for 5 seconds. Squeeze my butt, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then relax and let that ball sink into the muscle. Move the leg around, get some ability into the motion. Ooh, I found another one, so I'm going to hang out there for just a little bit. Squeeze into it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Breathing is key. I almost lost my back there, bad trainer. Don't do that. Okay. Now, normally I go for about 2 minutes doing that, searching for a lot of stuff. If it hurts a lot, you can stay there, okay? Baseball, lacrosse ball, some people are very sensitive to this, so a tennis ball will work here. But same position on the corner of that hip, and I'm trying to just find all the little tiny spots. That one was big amounts of tissue, this one's tiny. Ooh, same thing though, contract, squeezing into it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax, let it sink into it, just like quicksand. Ooh, there's a big lump there. This area is really tiny. It's only about maybe 2.5 inches in diameter. So we really want to stay in a small spot. Oh, and I'm looking around, I found something good. Same thing, I'm just going to try and lift that knee. There's no way I can lift the whole leg, it just hurts too much. You don't need it to kill you. What I like to do with clients is say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're asleep, 10 being it's complete painful and you're in the hospital, where is this? I'm looking for about maybe a 5 or a 6. I don't necessarily want it to be any higher than that because that's when breathing starts to get constricted. I want to be able to breathe through this, be able to control the motion, because that way it'll actually translate to when I'm moving around in the world. Okay, so I got just a little bit more here. I'm going to contract into this spot a little bit more. And release. Now we're all done. If I take a half kneeling position here, a lot of times what happens is that because this corner gets tight, it doesn't allow the leg to get back far enough into the socket to keep that hip stable. It pulls us up and into this lower back. And a lot of the times what happens is that glute medius doesn't pull out, so the inner thigh doesn't get a chance to actually stretch. So the next one, find a wall, get buddy with it, get your butt as close to the wall as you can while not flattening your back. You should be able to squeeze 2 fingers comfortably underneath that lower part of the spine, rib cage down, braced into the pelvis. And with my toes up a little bit, I can turn them out 20 degrees or so, but not a lot. I want to get this work involved into here. My butt, the side of the butt is actively drawing my knees towards the ground. I'm bracing into the hips. And the inner thighs, believe it or not, are actually doing some work here. This does burn a little bit. I'm looking for about 2 to 3 minutes here if I can. I'm not going to show the whole thing on the camera because you guys get bored, but this is burning and you're going to feel a little weak after you get out of this. Do not do this right before heavy squats. Definitely do this on a rest day if you can. But this really will help get this lengthened position here and this external rotation into the hip socket. You can zone out, but this is an active position. I don't want to lose my lower back or let the neck round or anything like that, all right? Braced. The last one we're going to do, a lot of this stuff does not translate to exercise unless we actually load the stretch. Once you can get into that position by foam rolling a lot of that stuff out and spending time in the actual angle you want, I'm going to really tease that butt quite a bit, driving into a stretch for that TFL. And I'm going to try and find a corner wall for this. I'm going to line up my tailbone with the wall. Keep that perfect 2-finger arch here. Rib cage against the wall. And my head up tall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get this front foot as close to the wall as I can. If I can get it very close, that means that this butt is actually holding me up. I'm pulling with this inner thigh to get this leg back into the hip and holding this leg down. If you want to get really challenged with this, bring the arms up. Or if this is really easy for you, take this leg further back. It'll stretch this hip more. Flatten that foot down so your quad doesn't work too much here. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to drive this glute in the back forward, and I feel a massive stretch on this side. With the arms up again. You can turn this into a workout if you want to. This leg is on fire, this glute's on fire. Loading the stretch. This actually translates into lunges, squats, runs, jumps, all sorts of fun stuff for those hips. Obviously my pelvis is engaged. I'm still supporting that arch. I'm not losing the neck. And if I wanted to show you guys failure, this is what tends to happen. I'm starting to fall into this knee. I lose my arch, that's too much. But obviously push yourself, this is too easy. All right? So there you are, guys. In my opinion, most people's back pain, hip pain, neck pain, knee pain, even ankle stuff, most of the time is not caused by things like tight hamstrings or a tight hip flexor per se. It's just a loss of the ability of the hip to properly flex or move into that position. This is a beautiful routine, 2 minutes on everything. There's 2 sides to the body. It takes about 15 minutes. If you do it once a week, especially if you're experiencing low back pain right now, start light, but in about a month, you're going to be overwhelmed by how much these problems tend to go away. A word of caution, though, is that if your glutes do not know how to support this position, you might feel some discomfort. It's up to you guys how much of that you really want to experience. If there's actual sharpshooting, stabbing pains, please stop the exercise, stop the stretch, and come see a professional like me, or your physio, or your ortho, or chiropractor, or whatever you want to do, all right? I hope this information was very useful to you guys. I love doing videos like this. If you have any requests for me, I'd love to shoot more, all right? Otherwise, have a whole lot of fun, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you later.